Hello folks and welcome. Let's have a little fun today and maybe some productive things at the same time. So today I'm going to talk about two of your system resources. Random access memory or RAM and then your disk or disks. I'm going to show you several tools today. Some of them will be graphical and some of them will be done on a terminal. Some of these tools will also have different calculation factors. I'm also going to talk about the fact that if you are in the market of buying more RAM, random access memory for your computer, I'll show you how and what you probably should do before you go shopping, which is find out what kind of motherboard you have so you can get the right RAM before you have to return it. And you can do that without opening up your computer. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of doing that today. And filming in 1920 by 1080, so adjust your YouTube player accordingly if necessary. Linux Mint 21.3 Cinnamon desktop. So the Icelandic puffin is waving hello. So I'll do the same and say welcome folks. So Linux is for any age, but the name of my channel is Linux for Seniors. This icon should be floating above your time and date area with yellow bars if you'd like to subscribe. If you're in full screen and don't see this icon with the yellow bars, go find me on YouTube. Now I'm going to click my semi see-through panel bar, right click, System Settings, and use that big scroll bar. All of these kind of tips you can find on my YouTube for different videos. So the first thing I'm going to click on is System Info. It's a basic tool that a lot of people don't realize does some other magic in the background. Well, first of all, you can upload system information or copy to clipboard. But did you know that this part here, if you have more than one hard drive, actually adds them together for you? To give you an example of my channel, Linux for Seniors, I have several computers. All of them use pull-out hard drives. However, I usually keep one drive on each one of those computers that have sample files. And a lot of them are 1 terabyte drives. So what you're reading here is 1480 gigabytes, translation 1.4 terabytes. However, the drive that I have Linux Mint 21.3 Cinnamon installed on is only a 480. Yeah, it's fully installed. It's not a virtual machine. I don't really like doing a lot of videos with that. So I'm trying to just give you the experience of an install. But this number is being calculated. In other words, there are two hard drives that is putting that number stuff together with. Hopefully that was clear. Then we're going to talk a little bit about memory. I have excessive amount, and you can find the bare minimum specs on Mint's website or even the internet. But I'm also going to talk about the breakdown of memory, how much is in use, and also your swap file if you're using one. Lots of different things to talk about today. So let me start with disks. Actually, let's start with a file manager for disk info, for basic disk info. So Nemo, our file manager, has a wealth of info. So Paul is our user for today. It's just a made-up name. So that drive that Paul has this installed on, he has 397 gigabytes free. Forget about the decimal point. And you'll see a lot of the tools that I'm going to show you today are usually within roughly 3% of each other. And but this is numbers. So 397 gigabytes is what Paul can throw onto there. Maybe more pictures, more programs, maybe more documents, whatever. Or games. So under this, here is devices. Now, if the tree is collapsed, then you can click the arrow. And if you still don't see that, then click that little box right there. So this is my internal demo drive. As I pointed out, all of the computers I use for Linux for Seniors have a demo drive. In addition to the booted in drive, that's how I'm able to swap out operating systems in a hurry, because they're all pull-out drives, except for these. So this is an internally mounted drive called Demo with demo files on it, and it currently has 954 gigabytes free. So I can put more goodies on it. And you probably have seen a lot of my videos, or maybe not, that the same files you see for pictures and documents are all the same. That's because I use those from these demo drives. But in either case, I'm displaying free space for that drive and free space for that drive. So that's basic information regarding hard drives. So now I'm going to open up a couple more tools. That one you will not have installed. That's something I created, and I'm not going to show that here. But you will have the disk utility, and that's GNOME, and then the disk usage analyzer you may or may not like, but I'm going to show it anyways. I'm going to start with the GNOME disk utility, and this tool has been around for a long time. It's gone through some changes. Maybe you're a fan of my old channel also. My old channel is closed, but I did a video on the GNOME disk utility on that channel, and also for Linux for Seniors. That video is about a year old on this channel. It's about 50 minutes if you want to take a peek at that. But the GNOME disk utility will display your drives and your USB sticks if they're mounted. Okay, so the 1 terabyte drive is an NVMe. If you don't know what those kind of drives are, I would suggest the internet, or even Amazon.com has a picture of it. So that's my demo drive. It has all the demo goodies on it. The drive that I'm in question about, and you should too, is normally your standard hard drive, which in this case has a boot partition, and also the Linux Mint file system is located here. And that's the one we're going to talk about. Model number is up here, but this part here, if you can't read that, it says 12.1%. Full. So all the tools I'm going to be showing you will usually be within like a 3% factor. So there's another way I can find information on this disk using terminal. A lot of you folks are just starting out using terminal, so I'm going to just give you 2 quick commands today that may be a little bit fun, but at the same time useful. Control, Shift, and plus to make the box bigger. That's all I'm doing here with that first command. Because I figured the box is pretty small to begin with. Again, I'm filming in 1920 by 1080. So Paul is our user. LM213 is the name of the computer, 21.3 in other words. So I'm going to type in the word man, and it stands for manual pages. It's going to give me information about commands, or certain commands. So the df command, a lot of people like word association. If you want to think about this one, df would be D for disk, and F for, how about free? Disk free, or df information. All right, so it's basically going to give you system space usage. And the reason I'm opening this, because I'm going to let you see there's a couple of options, and I'm only going to talk about 2, which is small h and big H. The small h is human readable and prints in powers of 1024. Translation, it displays that on your screen in powers or calculations of 1024. The big H, on the other hand, does that in calculations of 1000. And their examples are right here. And now that you understand that it can do 2 different calculations, I'm going to hit Q for quit. I'm going to give you the df command all by itself with no options, and then df with the small h and df with the big H. What I want you to focus in on is the percentages. They'll all be the same. Okay, that's the first one. So again, disk free, maybe a word association. All right. Disk usage, disk space, however you want to word that. All right, our booted in drive SDA2 is currently at 12%. Down here, you'll see that it says 12.1%. That's probably as close as I've ever seen anything like that. And then on this drive, it will say 4.6%, and then down here it says 5%. Don't focus in on this percentage part so deeply. Usually within a couple of percent point, you're good to go. All right, however, this is SDA2, which is this drive here, and that is the second partition on SDA, and this is the first one, SDA1, SDA2. SDA1 is right here. Not that we care about that one, that's our boot. But that's what this is, the 1.4. 2% here. Not a big deal. We care more about what we can put on the drive, which is done with root. We also can see the NVMe drive here. Now you can actually see the word demo. That would be this drive that's named demo. So that's the standard df command. All right, so the df with the small h, which is df space -h, will calculate this down a little bit differently. However, these numbers do not change. It's still 12%, but this part now is a little bit easier on your eyes. Versus this number here looks a little cryptic. All right. Now that says 932 gigs, still 5% on this particular drive called demo. And that was the previous number there. Now I still have another calculation to show you, and that's the last one of this, not to bore you to death. That would be the DF Big H, Big Henry. Now that one says 1.1T on it versus 932G. That's still 5%. And that's the part I want you to focus in on, are these percentages. So the one that has the root symbol is the current drive you're running on. Okay, so 12%. It doesn't matter what command I used. DFH, DF by itself, or DF small h. Okay, I'm going to type in exit. So again, you can also find that information this way. We're still not done yet. We can talk about disk usage analyzer also, and then I'll show you system information, which also has disk information. But the disk usage analyzer can be, well, kind of a cutesy looking tool, and you will have this installed also. I'm going to open up Paul's file manager and go to music. Now this is, when I open this will be fairly quick when it does its little graphs. This one, if you're doing the whole drive, it may take you a couple of minutes. This also shows you storage usage too. All right, LM21.3 is the name of this computer. In here, when you're looking at terminal, if I didn't say so earlier, that's the name of your computer right here. All right, I'm going to click this one. All right, so this actually shows me also hidden stuff that has periods in front of it or dots. We're not going to focus in on the whole thing. And it does have 2 columns, by the way. But I'm going to focus in on, let's do music. And we'll go with Giovanni and Gracefully. That's the album. All right, so you can probably see there's numbers underneath the file names. If you don't, you can always hold down the control key and scroll back and forth on your computer mouse. If you are using a touchpad, you may have to hold down the control key using 2 fingers and slide them up and down on your touchpad. I don't really like touchpads for that reason. I like the computer mice better. Whether they're wired or wireless, it doesn't matter. Anyways, the first song is Gracefully 1. That's not what's listed here though. That's listed as number 12 because that's the biggest one, 4.7 megabytes. That's only 3.1. So that's the first song right there. So number 12 is the biggest file size because that's automatically sorted that way. So you can look at this in a cutesy way if you want to do this. Same thing, I'll open up pictures for a second. And then you can take a look at your storage for that stuff. All right, I'm going to close all that. Now I'm done with the disk category, so I'm going to go with SYS for search criteria. And we're going to start with system information and RAM usage. And also at the same time, showing you how you can get information on your motherboard if you are in the market of wanting to buy more RAM. So I'll start with system info. You saw this earlier. All right, so it's 31 gigabytes of RAM. Forget about the decimal point. All right, so what is the bare minimum of Linux Mint? You can find that on their website or the internet. But let's say you have 4 gigabytes on your computer and you wanted to add more RAM. Well, before you open up your computer, you can actually get information on what kind of motherboard you have so you can go shopping for the correct type of RAM for your machine instead of just buying anything and then having to return it. There's nothing worse than returning things nowadays. So in addition to me showing you the total, I'm also going to show you what's in use. So I'm going to leave this up for a second and open up terminal. Another fun command that's easy to remember, and again I'm going to do Control-Shift++ to make it bigger for you, is the word free. You can think about free lunch as one way to remember this, or free memory. If I do it by itself, I get a rough idea what I have. And it also lists my swap file at the same time. However, if you want a cleaner version of this, then type in free space dash small h. The big H is not available on this command. Okay, now you can see that says 31 gigabytes. 1.8 is in use. A lot of people will say, well, it's kind of high usage. Well, you got to remember I'm filming also. I'm filming this video while it's using also some of that RAM. In either case, this is the standard free command that's not broken down in the human readable. So you can see that swap file is 2 gigabytes, none in use. Translation down here with the small h gives me that kind of numbers. So you get two things in here, your random access memory and swap file. Definition of free, display the amount of free and used memory on the system, and you can read the rest of that stuff yourself. Okay, I'm going to close that. So let's look at different ways to look at that kind of information and others. I'm going to type in SYS. I already showed you that one. System monitor you will have installed also. It also gives you a wealth of information, and it also has different calculation factors, but they are close. Starting with processes, resources, here's your memory, here's your swap file, here's your drives. I had 12% on that other tool. This says 11. I had 5% on the other tool. This says 4%. It's usually within, like I said, 3% points. All right, this is a 1 terabyte drive that says it's a 470. It's listed as a 480 on the disk utility. SDA2, root. SDA1, my boot partition. Demo drive. Even says so. All right, this tool again is should be installed. SYS. I'm skipping over this one because I'm saving that for last. This is a tool you have to install. This one here should already be installed, and a lot of people forget about this tool. So Mint Report, another name for that is System Reports, is a tool that you probably saw when you first installed Mint. You were asked to install some additional files, maybe library files, maybe language packs. Also, if you install like GIMP, you may see this tool pop up to ask you to install language packs, for instance. What you'll also find in here is very valuable information under this category. In addition to me finding out about my basic info and what the nickname of this distribution is, you'll also find motherboard information. So for you folks that are shopping for RAM, you're wanting to get more random access memory, RAM, for your computer without opening up your computer, you can highlight the model number, copy it, right-click, copy it, open up a web browser, use your favorite search engine, whatever that might be, and do a search. That's what this motherboard looks like. Here's the slots that they normally go. Again, your motherboard is going to be different. What kind of RAM do we need? Do we need DDR3, DDR4, DDR5? All these DDR things and the speed of the RAM and all that good stuff. Be nice to know before you go shopping for that RAM of what your motherboard can accept. Sometimes also laptops, you can open up the back end and replace RAM there. You can also find system information on any computer with this command. Your model number will be different than this one, of course. And I have a different command also in terminal that I can use, which is INXI. But in here, just for basic info, this is great for that. I'm going to keep scrolling though. CPU, graphics, audio, network, Bluetooth, drives. 1.3 TIB versus 1480 GB, gigabytes, terabytes. Different calculations. However, it still gives you totals here. Also including what type of NVMe I have here listed by model number. and the other drive is a CS900, as I pointed out earlier. More information than you can shake a stick at. Also memory down here. So remember this tool. It's very valuable and you have it installed already. So the last tool I'm going to talk about is something you can install if you want. This tool is made by HardInfo, and I am not sure if it's actively being developed, to be honest with you. But it is available in your software manager, and it has one item that it will not display. But nonetheless, it's a fairly decent tool, and it is fairly small. It's called HardInfo. You can install that if you like. Depending on what your screen resolution, in 4K this looks a little bit different than in 1080. I'm filming in 1080, remember that. Operating system, CPU, the RAM is in KIB format. Again, your best friend for this job is free. -h. To show you that really quick. 31 gigabytes is what it's listed here. This cryptic number is in KIB format. Okay. Motherboard, again, you can't highlight this, but this tool here, I recommend that you open up system reports for that. Then you can highlight and go searching on the internet, but it displays it nonetheless. Currently filming in 1920 by 1080, so that's my current screen res. There's the name of the card, and it only shows one storage device. This is the thing that I disliked. All right, so right now it does not display all the disks. Right now it's not showing my 1 terabyte drive. It's not listed in here. But it is showing this one, this PNY CS900. This right here is the exact same model number. So even if I go to storage, which is down below here, it only shows one drive. But it does have a wealth of information nonetheless. So again, HardInfo, if you want to go and install that. So I think the puffin is saying not only hello, but also goodbye. And I'll say thank you for watching, folks. Take care.